This episode of Down Home Dirt is brought to you by Zucchini Ink Signs and Design, helping small businesses with their printing marketing materials. You're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but first impressions are everything. So let Zucchini Ink help you make a great first impression. If you're interested in supporting the podcast or want to support the podcast and also help grow your own business, head over to our Patreon now and secure your ad space. This episode is sponsored by the Home Inspector team. It seems like everywhere you look nowadays, you see new homes popping up all over the place like dandelions in the spring. You have to wonder how well those homes are being built with how fast they're building them. That's where the Home Inspector team comes in. With their new construction bundle, you can have every phase of your new construction home professionally inspected to make sure no mistakes are being made. First, they come out before the drywall is installed to make sure the construction and utility rough-ins are done properly, because once they are out of sight, they are out of mind. Before you move in, they ensure everything is functioning properly and provide essential information to help you maintain the home, safeguarding your family and your investment. And finally, just before the builder's warranty expires, they come in to make sure that everything is A-OK, and if it's not, they make sharing your inspection report with the builder a breeze. Scheduling an appointment with the Home Inspector team is super easy. I just did it myself. Just visit their website, thehomeinspector.team, to get an instant quote and to schedule the inspection at a time that works best for you. And don't forget to mention our podcast to receive a special discount. Now back to the show. Hey y'all, and welcome to Down Home Dirt, the show where we dive deep into the journey of entrepreneurship with the people who took the plunge into owning a small business and all the ups and downs that come with it. I'm your host, Desta, and today we are joined with Christine Walorz with Walorz Insurance. Thank you for coming out today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
I'm very excited to get to know you. I believe we met on Facebook, possibly in the Networking Women of the Triangle.
Yeah, probably, because usually I'm only friends with people on Facebook if I've at least met them once in person. So we had to have met somewhere. And yes, it totally could have been like NWOTT.
It's one of my favorite groups, I'm going to be honest. I get a lot of great feedback from them. So shout out to them. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you grew up and how you ended up in the Triangle, and about your business.
Sure. So I actually grew up just south of Boston in a little town called Marymount, which is in the city of Quincy. So, city girl. Grew up there, spent my whole life there until I moved out when I was 19, kind of went out, grabbed my boyfriend. We went out on our own, and we ended up settling down in a little town just south of where I grew up. So yeah, born and raised just outside of Boston. And we moved down here on a whim like 16 years ago. Literally, like my husband's like lying in bed and he's just like, what if we move? And I'm like, where? And yeah, he was just ready to get out of Massachusetts. And he was like, well, if we're going to move, I don't want to have to shovel. And that was like a huge criteria for him. Like, we don't want to shovel. And yeah, he just wanted better weather and he wanted to be like within a day's drive of back home for our parents, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so been here almost 16 years. And I love it.
I feel you, because I came on vacation and 2 weeks later I moved back. I didn't even have a
Oh my
quote.
gosh.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to wing it. We're going to make it happen. And I've been here ever since.
That's my husband. It was like a whim. It literally was on a whim. So here we are.
Right? And I have not even gone home to visit in 10 years. Like, no thanks.
Oh my gosh. I thought I was bad. We go back when we can, but yeah, we like packed up the kids and moved down here. And so I have 3 kids. They're like 20. They're not kids, right? 25, 23, almost 20. I can't believe it. But everybody lived at home. My oldest is in the Navy. So,
Oh, wow.
I don't even know if I'm supposed to say like hoorah or like one's Army, one's military, one's Navy. I don't even know. I'm a bad Navy mom, but anyways, yay. So yeah, but my two of my kids still live at home, and yeah. And then you want to know about my business?
Yeah.
What did you say? Let's see. Where am I from? When did I get here? Tell me something about yourself and my business.
Yep. Tell us what you do.
Okay, so I am your local life insurance specialist, and I basically help individuals, families, small business owners with all of their life insurance needs. So whether it's like traditional life insurance, so like if I die, my family can be taken care of, which is hugely important, to small business owners, making sure that they're covered. So if something happens to them, either the partner can be taken care of so that the business can continue, part of a continuation plan or buy sell, or so, the wife doesn't end up inheriting half the business and not want to keep the business going, all kinds of stuff like that. And then I even work with like retirees 55 and up, just to help them like preserve and protect all the money they've saved up to live through retirement, to help them make sure they can make that money last in retirement. So that's kind of like all the things I do.
No, that's great. We're going to have a conversation after we do this because I'm not prepared for any of those things.
Cool.
So what was like the ready moment that made you like jump into doing life insurance?
Okay, so not the normal story. I worked for the same company for 18 years. I was a trainer for like a big box company in the retail world, and loved what I did. I always said I worked in retail, but I didn't really have a retail job. And so, anyways, it just became horrible. Like it was very, very toxic. I loved working for this company for like 10 years in Massachusetts. I loved it, moved down here, and it just wasn't the same down here. I didn't love it anymore, but I was paid well. And that was kind of one of the problems. Like they paid well, so it was hard to leave. And, I was the breadwinner. Not that my husband doesn't work, he works, but I made good money at the company. And it just really started going downhill. I got moved to a store that like I didn't want to be based out of. I got like promoted without a raise, and that's really crappy. Yeah. And so it was just really a bad scene, and I realized that I was coming home and really like I was a mess. I was yelling at my kids. I wasn't fun to be around. I was miserable. I was out of the house like 16 hours a day, sometimes longer. It was horrible. So it's really kind of sad. I was like literally like, I think I like had my hand on my chest and I was like yelling up the stairs like somebody needed to get their laundry or move their sneakers or something. It was terrible. And like who wanted to be around me? And I just realized, you know what? This sucks, and like I can't have anybody else be in control of like my income, my future, my happiness, my health. And I was like, I need to do something. And seriously, my best friend at the time was doing life insurance. And after interviewing and going around looking for a job for a few weeks, I was like, okay, I'll do life insurance. I'm not even kidding. Like that's how I got into it. And now I'm the biggest life insurance nerd out there. I geek out over insurance. I love what I do. And I don't know. It was like Kismet, or I don't know what put me here, but this is where I was meant to be.
Absolutely. Melissa Overton always calls it your burning bush moment. You just get
What was wait, say that again?
your burning bush moment where you're just like, I've got to take the thing. It's right there. It's on fire. I got to deal with it, you know?
Yeah, that was my burning bush moment. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yes, that was my burning bush moment. Like I needed to just deal with everything. Like I thought I was going to collapse and have a heart attack if I didn't do something different.
No, I feel you on that 100%. So tell us about your support system. Like, who is your biggest supporter and how has having that support helped you transition into the life insurance?
So for me, at the time transitioning into life insurance, my biggest supporter was my husband and my kids. They knew I was miserable and they were like begging me to leave my job. They once they caught wind of me considering going into life insurance, and like really that first step was being self-employed. I didn't think of myself as a business owner. I was just going to be self-employed. And my family really just was like, we have your back, we support you, we want you to do this because we want you to be happy. We want you to be healthy. We don't want you to have a heart attack. And so my husband was my biggest supporter when it came time for me to get into doing life insurance.
That's fabulous. I hear that a lot, that family is the most important people in your life and they're the biggest supporters. So what are some of the common challenges that entrepreneurs face and how can you overcome them?
Oh, well, I think some of the biggest obstacles is staying motivated, right?
Yes.
Like I'm not going to have a big fancy answer like imposter syndrome is the biggest problem, right? Like that is a problem. But for me, I really think it's like whether we're putting obstacles in front of ourselves without realizing it, or maybe there just really are some obstacles we have to overcome, and realizing like we can overcome them, but learning how to overcome obstacles, I think that's really, really hard for someone who is self-employed or someone who's like an entrepreneur on their own, like trying to solve a problem for for the world and bringing something to fruition. Yeah, I think just getting out of your own way, being confident, realizing you can do it, and also not thinking you have to do it all on your own. I think that's a big obstacle for people. They think, I've got to figure this out myself. I've got to make this happen. This is my business. This is what I do. People are looking at me for this. And you really have to like take a minute and look around and realize where are those resources you can be using. Sometimes they're people, right?
Hmm.
But just realizing that you can do it, but you've got to push and you've got to overcome those obstacles and find solutions and get help if you need it.
And reaching out is a big one. I myself am guilty of not reaching out to anyone.
Yeah, it's true. And like, you asked me before, like, what was my biggest support system, like getting into life insurance. And but if you were to ask me, like, what's my biggest support system now, it's, I mean, without, of course, my husband, right, and my family are like my biggest supporters. But if I wasn't surrounded by a community of small business owners that, all focused on lifting each other up and supporting each other and helping each other over obstacles, I think if I didn't have that support system, it would be very, very hard for me to keep going.
I absolutely agree with you on that. I am still starting to build mine because I don't ever ask for help, and now I am. And I'm realizing that there are so many people in the same position I'm in, which is why I started the
Yeah,
podcast. So that's
very cool, very cool.
so. Tell me how you measure success in your business.
So for me, the biggest way I measure success is making sure my bills are paid.
Yes.
That is, I mean, to be honest, right? I do keep a close eye on my finances, and I have certain goals that I need to achieve to make sure that my family can maintain their lifestyle and ultimately grow our lifestyle,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So for me, it sounds shallow, I guess, but measure this. So I'm going to have a couple answers. So one is, making sure that the money is in my bank account. Okay, that is a measure of success, and I don't think that's something we should be ashamed of.
No.
Like, it's okay to be like, these are my money goals and I'm meeting them, and then hopefully exceeding them, right? We want everybody to exceed those money goals. But other measures of success for me, oh my gosh, this is also gonna, I feel like I'm really shallow. This is gonna sound shallow, but like, I love, oh, this is really going to be corny. I hope no one holds this against me, but like, I love getting all those little local recognitions.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it sounds so bad, but like, it's not like I'm like, oh, after all the trophies or anything, but like when my name pops up in a magazine, or, I get an email from a publication that says like, I got like the best of, like, in an insurance category, something like that. Oh, this sounds so corny, but it means a lot to me because I figure like, wow, like somebody cared enough to like nominate me, and then like people cared enough to vote for me. So that keeps me going. Oh, that probably sounds so shallow, but for me, that is kind of a measure of success, like being recognized in my community, like people knowing who I am, and knowing that I care, and that if they have questions about life insurance, like people are constantly referring me. Like my business runs on referrals. So like that, I guess that, there you go. That is like the biggest measure of success, is that in my industry, a lot of people buy leads, which is totally fine. That's how I started my business. But to know that like I don't buy leads because I have people out there telling their friends and family and strangers on Facebook that they should call me for life insurance. That's a huge measure of success, I think.
No, absolutely, you're right. And the goal of business is profit, so there should be no shame in that at all. That's the reason why we all started
No, there shouldn't
business.
be.
And I get that 100%. So tell me where you see yourself in the future.
So this is my last career. I read a thing years ago that said we typically have like three careers in our lifetime, and my first career was the hospitality industry. I was a hotel manager. I love hotels and all that. So like I did that, and then I was like, oh, I want to have a family, and so then I did like the 18 years as a trainer in retail, and now I am a life insurance specialist. So I really see myself in the future as, I guess, still doing what I do, but doing it at a higher level. Like I'm always trying to raise the bar, and I'm always trying to sort of, expand my reach. So like I've incorporated like working more with retirees and people 55 and up. I'm, incorporating disability insurance and long-term care, things to meet my clientele's needs as they're aging, right? Like my people that I've been helping for the last 7 years. Um, so for me, just not maintaining, oops, that was the wrong word, but I still see myself as a life insurance producer and, a retirement solutions provider for people. And yeah, like that's weird. I don't have this big vision for the future as far as I'm going to open a brick and mortar downtown or anything like that. It used to be that, but now it's just continuing to grow, right? And to just continue to serve my community. Yeah, I can be doing this at 82 years old and sitting here in my office and being comfy and still help people. So I don't know, still helping people in life insurance, but while I travel.
Hey, listen, I understand that. I feel like my goals are a little too big to reach at this current time, but they say if they're not big, then you're not dreaming enough or something to that effect. So,
Oh, well, now mine aren't big. Now I feel like, oh, I need bigger goals.
oh, mine are
Oh,
ridiculous. Like I want to have a mansion on like 1,000 acres, and I want to like,
oh, there you go.
yeah, one day.
Well, and I'm going to be your friend and you're going to invite me over because I tell my husband, I think like in a past life, I must have lived in a castle or a palace or something like that because I'm so drawn to that. So if you're going to have that, I'm just going to be in your life because I mean, that's a great goal. I mean, I have other goals too, like travel and like I really like my husband and I have not traveled a lot for the, since we had a family and so yeah, so I mean, travel is definitely a part of my future as well. But I still want to keep doing what I do. I can do it sitting down, so as
That's really
long as my
good.
brain is still working. Hmm?
So that's really good.
Yeah,
So my next question is kind of talked about a little bit, but what is your main marketing strategy? Like how do you get your referrals?
yeah, you're right. I did kind of mention that already. So Facebook, and I can't even say social media because that would mean I was using multiple platforms and being, just doing all the right things, and I don't. I've realized and I recognize that my clientele is primarily on Facebook.
Hmm.
So, thanks to all the classes I've taken and all the experts I listen to and the people I surround myself with, I know that that's my platform. So, I focus on that platform. And that does bring me referrals every week. And then also, like my existing clients, that is also a source for me. And then, like I mentioned, like the recognitions and for small businesses, like whether it's like your little town magazine or an alumni newsletter, anything that recognizes you as a like for a small business owner, like that's free publicity. And so that's important too. But yes, social media. That's it for me.
That's true. And I believe you have a group on Facebook and don't quote me on the name. What is the name of it?
Okay, yeah, we won't. I'll just say it.
Yeah.
It's the Holly Springs Small Business Networking Group, and we go by HSSBN, which was so hard to say for like a year and a half. But it's the Holly Springs Small Business Networking Group, and yes, I totally, wholeheartedly believe in person networking because you're creating that whole free sales force, right? And you're supporting others, and in return, they're supporting you. So I guess that's the other part of my marketing, right? Is getting out there and doing that in person networking.
No, that's great. I talk a lot about networking on the podcast. So I just like to put that out there and share. So that's great. So, what advice was
Thank you.
most impactful to help you make the jump into doing it?
Into doing, say that again.
So, what advice was most impactful to make the jump into life insurance?
The advice that was most impactful for me, oh, there wasn't any. I told you, you're going to have some questions that you're going to expect big answers from me, and I'm going to not have a big answer for you. But yeah, th- just do it. There was no one. I really was like so alone. Like even though my best friend was doing it, I just did all this on my own. I didn't know what I was doing. So I don't come to me for advice for what I did back then. Come to me for advice now. I'll totally have your back. I will help you. I love working with like fresh new entrepreneurs. And but you know, don't do what I did. Learn from my mistakes and learn what I like. I like to share what I've learned through the process. So the best advice I have for at the beginning is, make sure well, I don't want to give that away in case you ask, but no, there was nothing in the beginning.
Well,
That's a terrible answer.
no, it's an honest answer. So, what advice would you give somebody currently who wants to do it?
Okay, so this is where I really like to talk. So because through the networking and through the group and just like how I try to be in my community and all that, I have to give a shout out to Launch Holly Springs, Launch My City. It's a program that's like popping. Yes, I did. I went through the very first cohort of Launch Holly Springs back in 2018. I'd been in business about a year and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so for me, that was like a chance to hit the reset button, and then I was on the board for like 5 years. I just resigned from the board. This is like the first year I don't even know who the cohort is, which is freaking me out. But I'm their biggest supporter. So, anyways, oh my god, I had to give a shout out to that, and then I've like forgotten the question. So the question was, what advice would I give new entrepreneurs? I remember. So one of the first things I tell everyone is, again, going back to money, make sure you have an emergency fund. That is so, so important to have an emergency fund. And also, let's see, have an emergency fund. That's the biggest one. The other piece of advice I give people when they're going into entrepreneurship is sometimes you don't have to make a full leap into entrepreneurship. And I hope this doesn't kind of go against where you're trying to go with this, but it's okay. I want people to hear this like loudly, right? Crystal clear. It's okay to have a job.
Mhm.
It's okay to have a part-time job or keep working your full-time job while you bust your butt to get your business off the ground, because you have to pay your bills.
Mhm.
And the last thing you want to do is have that extra added stress and pressure of not having money coming in yet and wondering how you're going to survive. So that is some of the, like, it's so basic, but that's some of the biggest advice I give people. Having an emergency fund. So doesn't mean you have to do it tomorrow. If you need 6 months to save up an emergency fund, save up an emergency fund. It's okay to keep working or getting another part-time job. That's totally fine. And then the other thing I advise people to do is to look for programs like Launch My City. There's so many different like leadership programs and entrepreneurial programs around. There's also like um, there's a great small business center at Wake Tech. So there's a lot of resources out there. So if you don't know what they are, reach out to someone like me or someone like you and ask others, right? Ask other people that are small business owners or entrepreneurs. Just ask them what they're doing or what they've done, and listen to them and do them. It's okay. Get all the help and support you can get.
I love that because we just did an episode with the Small Business Center at Johnston Community College and with the Chamber of Commerce where we talked about Launch Joco, which I just applied for. So,
Oh, cool. Yeah, I saw that one. I saw that you were interviewing them. I was so excited. Yeah, I love the Launch Joco program. I don't know anybody like personally associated with it, but I follow them on social media and I think they're doing a really great job. There's a lot of great launch programs out there. And yeah, the community colleges, I go to all of them. Like I go to like there's one, it's 4 C's. It's like Central Carolina Community College. It's like in Sanford. I'll drive like 45 minutes and go to programs there. I'll go to Wake Tech. I follow that's so there's another piece of advice. Follow the SBC, right? Follow like the NC Small Business Center program, whatever, it's connected to all the local community colleges. And there's so many free resources. It's unbelievable.
that's true. And that's what I'm trying to highlight on the podcast is all of these opportunities that are available to you and they're free. Just go.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
education is always free.
Take advantage of all the free programs you can get.
Absolutely. And it's free. You just have to pay attention. So
Let's say that again. They're free.
they're free. I know.
Go get them.
So free, guys. So my last
All
question
free.
that I always ask everybody is, what is your best networking tip?
Oh, my best. Oh, there's just so many tips when it comes to networking. I can't just give you one. I don't have a best tip, so I'm gonna like very very quickly tell you, like, don't go to networking events to just hand out your business card. Like, keep them in your pocket. If somebody asks, great, but don't just walk around. That's okay. That's like a newbie thing. Like, people just, they worry, they're nervous, so they're like, all right, I'll just use my business cards as a crutch, and it's fine. I understand crutches, but if you're networking in person, go there to meet people and get to know other people. Don't just go into it thinking you're just going to tell everybody about yourself. You've got to be a better listener than a talker. right? Because you never know who you're going to meet and who you might be able to help and who might be able to help you. It might not be right then, but down the road, you might be like, wow, I met that person and they were really great about this. And I want to talk to them and let's see what we can learn from each other. So go with an open mind, go with a goal. I learned a lot of this from like Joe Navarra when I first started networking, his books, Intentional Networking. It's like, have a plan, have a goal, go with a buddy, but don't stay together at the event. Like you can't go with a friend and stay with a friend. You've got to go out and meet people. But if it sucks, like you can get each other and leave. But so that's always good. And driving with someone is good because you can talk and prepare and be ready, especially if you're nervous, and then you can talk about stuff on the way home. But listen more than you talk when you go out to network. I'm not saying don't talk, right? You got to talk, but be a good listener and listen for ways you can help others. That's key when it comes to networking, I think.
No, absolutely. Giver's gain. That's what me. I want to give you is more because I know it's going to come back to me.
Mm-hmm. And that's the best book too by Bob Berg. Oh my gosh.
We're going to have
The
to
Go
link it to
Getter.
the episode.
I mean, wait, I said Go Getter. I meant to say Go Giver. I just needed to correct that.
Go Giver, right?
The Go Giver by Bob Berg.
Okay. I'm going to.
Have you ever read it?
No, but now I want to.
You got to read it. Yeah, it's a tiny book. You got to read it, The Go Giver. And it's just about having that mentality where it's more important to do for others and give to others. Things will come back to you in turn. But yeah, Go Giver. Every entrepreneur, small business owner, self-employed person needs to read The Go Giver. And then there's like a Go Giver sales. There's there's like 3 different alliterations.
Oh, well, I'm writing it down. So.
Okay, cool.
So tell everybody
Glad
where
I
they
could
can
give you something.
Thank you. So tell everybody where they can find you. What's your website, phone number, email, any of those things?
Sure. So you can find me. Well, you can Google me and then you'll find all the things, right? I mean, seriously, I have my little presence on Google. So you can Google me and you will find me, but you can also go to walorzinsurance.com. There's also walorzfinancial.com. And that's geared a little bit more towards the retirement stuff. You can find me on social media. I need like all the followers and my social media is janky. I'm not like out there making professional videos or anything like that. It's just me. And, I'm just hoping to connect with people on social media. My email address, you want me to give my email address? It's walorztina@gmail.com. That's my generic one. And I've got a phone number, 781-985-6958. I tell people you can call or text me anytime, literally. It doesn't mean I'll answer at 1 a.m, but you can text me at 1 a.m. Seriously, you can call me, leave me a voicemail. I will get back because I work like 7 days a week. Doesn't mean I work all day, 7 days a week, but I can always make time for someone. So
I think that's part of being an entrepreneur is working 7 days a week, even if it's for an hour.
Right. It doesn't mean that I'm working 24/7, right? It just means that I can help like 3 customers or clients. Like if you had customers, right? You could help maybe 3 customers, or I can help 3 clients or prospects a day and still have time to do my admin work and time to spend with my family and time to do all the things, but I still might be able to help 3 people that day.
No, absolutely. And I feel like I work 7 days a week as well. But it's not like, 8 hours a day. So
yeah. And if you love what you do, like my husband will be looking for me and he'll be like, oh, she's in her office. Or, if he'll be on the phone with like his mother and I can always hear him saying like, oh yeah, she's in her office, puttering around doing something. Because if I don't have like admin work or a person to talk to about life insurance, I do a lot of studying and a lot of learning. And so, I just enjoy it.
Yeah. And reading too. I see.
Do a little reading.
A little bit.
Oh, wait, look, I have this book right here. Top 10 IRA mistakes and how to avoid IRA tax traps. If you want to talk about that, call me. I'm on the back. I'm right there. Anyways, I know, I got books everywhere. I got another one too, and I'm on that one too. But anyways,
no,
it doesn't mean I wrote it. I didn't write it. I'm just part of a team. Anyways.
We need to talk after the recording. All right. Well, thank you for doing an episode of Down Home Dirt, and join us again next week for another amazing episode of Down Home Dirt. Thanks, guys.
Woo! Thank you.